In the last video, you learned how to start the soundtrack for your Chase video. So go ahead and open up WeVideo, choose your Chase soundtrack project, and click Edit. Go ahead and open up your Chase soundtrack folder in your My Media folder. Now, last time, I had only placed the video that was chosen by my team, the Best Picture Edit, and I also imported just some music. And I used it to build two audio tracks. Audio track 1 is for one character with their music. Audio track 2 was for the other character and their music. In this video, I'm going to show you to add sound effects, including sound effects stingers and musical textures to add highlights to parts of the video. So the first thing I'm going to do is choose the Import button. I'm then going to use Browse to select, navigate to my Chase project, and open the soundtrack folder. Now, I can sort the files by the date they were modified, and so here I have a bunch of files I selected today. So I'm going to select the bottom one, hold Shift, and select the top one, and then choose Open. It'll take a while for WeVideo to import those new sound files. While that's happening, I'm going to go down here to the timeline and click the plus key to add a new audio track. In this audio track, I'm going to add the sound effects stingers, and the musical textures. Now, when I was looking for sound effects, I couldn't find all the sound effects that I wanted. There were two critical ones. One was the sound of the toaster, another one was the sound of a door opening and closing. So I went ahead and used my phone and recorded my own sound effects, and then I emailed them to my school email address and downloaded them into my soundtrack folder. And this first one here is the toaster. So I'm going to go ahead and drag this toaster sound down to my timeline and put it in audio track 3, which is for my sound effects. Now, if you look at the waveform here, you can see it indicates where sounds happen. So I'm going to go ahead and just listen to this one track. To do that, I'll click these three dots, scroll down here so you can see the options, and I'll choose Solo Track. By clicking that, now when I play my timeline, I only hear the sound effects. All right, so I need to synchronize it. So I'm going to go back here to where the finger pushes down. And that's where I need my first sound effect, which is indicated by this little waveform here. So I need to kind of move that over, and let's see how it looks. Oh, too early. All right, so it has to slide over a bit more. Let's see, how about now? Oh, too late. Boy, I'm going to go ahead and zoom this in a bit using that plus minus slider on the right. And now let's see, so it's like right there. Tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to move this up so that it's just before the sound effect starts. And now when I look on the timeline, I can see that it needs to start right at 7:03. So let me move this up to 7:03. Well, pretty close. Let's see if that works. Back it up a little bit, play it. Looks pretty close. All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and split this track with the S key, and I'll just shorten that first one because there's a lot of silence. Now the second part is the toaster actually popping up, so I'll just shorten it just before the sound starts on the waveform there. I'll play it. And where I want to synchronize it is right as this hand starts to pull up on that lever. So it'll be right about there. So that's at 10:16. So let me slide this over to right about 10:16. Where is it going to be? Well, let's see if that works. Yeah, a little bit late, huh? Or was it early? Let's see. We'll play it again. I think the sound's coming in early. Yeah, so I need to move it just a little bit. Okay, let me back it up. I'll play them both through now. That's that's probably pretty close. All right, so I've got some extra sound here. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that. Now let me go and add the other sound effects that I have, which are actually door opens and closes. So here's the first character opening and closing. So right there at 2511, let me find my door open and close. And again, I've got the opening and then I've got the closing, and the opening is pretty close to the beginning there. Let's see. Yeah, so I forget what I said I needed. I think it was 2511, someplace like that. Yeah, so let's see if I can slide this over to about 2511. Let's see what it sounds like here. All right, so it actually closes just a little bit too soon. So again, I have to split this clip. And I'm just going to go ahead and shorten this piece just before the sound starts of the door closing. And now let's see, the door closes like right about there, I guess it is. That's 2811. So let me move this one until we get to about 2811. Well, that's so close. Okay, let me back it up and play it. That's not bad. Okay, so now I need to go ahead and get the next door. I'll split that. Go up here. Shorten this one a bit. Find out where the door needs to open. Okay, so right about there, 3211, and then this needs to come out to about 32. Well, boy, that's pretty close. Let's hear how it sounds. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and cut this one, shorten that back, and boy, this was pretty close. And let me just bring that back a bit and play it. Okay, so I've got those sound effects in. All right, so not bad. Probably wouldn't be noticed. It might be out of sync a little bit. But now I need to go back and do what's called unsolo. So I'll click those three dots again, scroll down here, choose unsolo the track. So now I'll hear all the tracks together. So let me just go up here just before the first sound effect and play it. Now, the sound effects are a little bit low, but if you see these blue lines, that indicate that the volume is up to 100% on each of these elements. So instead of trying to make these sound effects louder, I'm going to go ahead and bring the music tracks down a bit. So over here is the master. Notice how track 1 is at 100%. I'll just bring it down to about 90. I'll do the same with audio track 2 down to about 90. And let me play it now and hear how it sounds. So this first one's still a bit low. And let's hear how the doors sound. Well, you can hear it in there. So you get the idea of adding sound effects and trying to synchronize them. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and get rid of the rest of that door sound effect. So I just have that last close that was in there. So now I'm going to go ahead and add some sound effect stingers and maybe some music textures to give some more highlights to the video. So the first place I'm looking at is back here after the waffle's been taken. So we get a big reaction here. So let me see which one that I got. So I've got, let me play this one. That's possible. Let me try this one here. Now, I think it's this one that I had intended. Now, because I don't have any sound effects on this bottom track right in this position where I'm going to put the musical texture, I'm going to go ahead and drag it down to there. Now, first thing I'm going to do is go back and solo this track. So let me scroll that down and choose audio track 3 and hit solo. And then I'm going to go ahead and try to find out where I need to have that reaction. It's going to be like starting right there. And that's at 1915. So let me bring this one up to 1915 approximately. Now I'll go ahead and play that again. And that's not too bad. So let me go ahead and turn solo off and just see what happens with the music in there. And it gives a little bit of a highlight in there. Okay, so I've got another spot where I need a highlight, and that's towards the end when I've got this big reaction here. So I'm going to go ahead and see which one it was. I think it was this one here that I chose. Yeah, maybe not. Let's see what else I've got. And I've got this one. All right, so I think this was the one that maybe works best. So again, I'm going to drag it down to audio track 3 because you can see in this part, I don't have any other sound effects or any music textures in there. So I'll go ahead and see if I can line up when I want it to start. Yeah, it's going to be just as he starts to turn his head. And that's at 53:04. And it looks like I've got this one. It was pretty much at 53. Yeah, it was pretty close. I'll leave it there. Let me play it, see how it looks. Now, let me make sure I'm in solo mode here. All right, and now let me go back and hear what the final mix is like. All right, so I'm just going to back it up just a little bit. I'm just curious how the music comes in with it. All right, well, there you have the idea. I'm not sure if it's perfect, but you just want to get the idea of adding those sound effect stingers and the musical textures in there to give some emphasis to some highlights. And I also added some sound effects in there to make it seem a little bit more natural as far as the sound. Now, one last thing that you can check is actually if you have sound coming in from your actual video. Now, if I go up here and solo my video track and play it through, let's see if I get back over here. I'll hear the original sound from the video clips. Now, they were kind of low. And so I don't know if it really adds anything. That was the original one. But when I was checking out my footage earlier, I was hoping maybe I could use some of the natural footsteps that were in here. But that rustling sound you hear is actually the wind was blowing on the microphone. So I don't think I really hear it that much when the music is playing. But if I want to make sure I don't have any sound coming in from this video track, I can just bring the volume all the way down to 0. And then I'll go ahead and unsolo this track. That way I make sure I don't get any interference. But you can play around with that original video track sound to see if maybe it's adds a little bit of natural sound to it, if it works pretty well with people running their footsteps. So you can play around with that too. And so there you have it. Very subtle. And a little bit louder. So you get the idea. When you think your soundtrack is complete, go ahead and click the Finish button. Make sure you choose HD. Name it Chase Soundtrack. And then your first and last name. I'll pretend this is done by a student named Jim Shoes. And then go ahead and make sure the destination is a download. Then click the Export button. It might take a while for your video to get ready to download. When the video is complete, go ahead and click on the link. Then choose the Download button. Make sure the resolution is HD 1280 by 720. Then click Download. Navigate to your Chase project folder. Make sure the name is correct and it still has the .mp4 extension, and then click Save. Once the file has completed downloading, navigate to your Chase project folder and double-click to play it. After you've confirmed that everything is correct, go ahead and share that file with other members of your team so that they can decide whether or not you did the best job of creating the soundtrack for your team's Chase film.